son remained calm as the judge read the sentence, death by execution.
Josue Flores was murdered last Tuesday on his way home from school.
The men confessed to shooting the teen execution style.
There was some satanic type activity taking place.
Officers tell us Trujillo stabbed her boyfriend with stiletto heel shoes.
2-year-old Riley Ann Sawyer's brutal killing shocked the nation. She was beaten to death, stuffed in a plastic box found by a fisherman in Galveston Bay.
Former NFL player Antonio Armstrong Sr. and his wife, Dawn Armstrong, were murdered.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Antonio Armstrong Jr., guilty.
One by one, they described the deaths of the alleged other 8 victims of the convicted rail car killer.
Welcome back to the evidence room. This week's episode is about a life cut short, a life filled with promise that was taken for no reason at all. Josue Flores was 11 years old when he was stabbed to death while walking home from Marshall Middle School along Fulton Street. And even though cameras blanket this area, it would take 6 years before his killer would be convicted.
Every time we open the boxes, we see the last group photo from that day, the timestamp, because the clock is right there. That was literally his last photo.
A pizza party for a science club, and you know he's going to be dead within 20 minutes of that photograph.
Oof. It was haunting. Like that, those last 50 feet or so, you can see him, and he's just marching toward the inevitability of Andre Jackson.
His little best friend at the time, we met at the school. And he testified for us.
That was also wild. We're looking at Josue, who is forever an 11-year-old little boy, and then you're talking to his best friend at the time, who was 11, who has now grown up.
And he's a senior in high school, and so you're seeing an 18-year-old, and he still has a picture of Josue, and he wants to be a vet. And he said, because he would talk to Josue about wanting to be a doctor, and he is going to college, and he wants to honor his friend. So it was interesting to, when I say he killed what he could have been, that's what we mean by that.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Man, I didn't expect the emotions to come back up. Man.
Tuesday, May 17, 2016, 16:43 and 01 seconds.
911 transfer for medical and police.
What is your address? I'm on James Street.
Okay, what are you reporting?
Officer, oh my God, there's a cop right. What the fuck? A kid just got stabbed. Is he
in the street or where is he?
He's in the street. Yeah, he just got stabbed. Some man, black dude just ran up and stabbed this kid.
Why did you guys bring me in here?
Okay, did they tell you why you were arrested?
No.
Okay, well, I think there may be some things we need to clear up, okay?
Okay.
Right now you are under arrest. Do you understand that?
For somebody within seconds to come across an 11-year-old child and brutally murder them, it's hard to even get your head around it. John Jordan, Assistant District Attorney, and I was one of the prosecutors on we call it the Josue Flores case. You know, I've been around for about 25 years, and so I've been a part of a lot of these cases and have witnessed many more. And we always call the case by the style of the defendant's name. And this is the only case that I can remember in the last 25 years that everybody refers to it as the Josue Flores case.
A question police are trying to answer and a neighborhood is trying to understand. How could anyone attack and murder a child?
I have an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I also have an 8-year-old, and I can't imagine what this mom is going through.
Each candle, balloon, stuffed animal, and painting left here is an individual expression of grief, the image of a smiling Josue Flores on the minds of so many.
We talked about it sometimes at school because we were like, this could happen to any of us.
Flores was laid to rest Tuesday. Hundreds attended the funeral at the Holy Name Catholic Church. A mariachi band helped lift spirits, but ever present is the reminder a killer is on the loose.
Sometimes I have to walk home from school, and sometimes, since my mom, she gets scared. Now that, if I walk from school, something bad will happen to me.
Amidst the grief, there is also resolve from a community that will never stop searching for justice, a thought seen on this poster. To Josue's killer, you will never find peace, you will never forget this innocent face, you will always be haunted by what you did.
He was just playing in the puddles, playing on the gates, doing nothing to anybody. And that is so sad.
And he had told a teacher, I'm a big boy, I can walk home, because he hadn't been walking home alone. Usually his sister was there. His family was working income. His dad was a painter. Good people, but certainly lower economic ladder, working hard to put food on their table, but they believed in education. His older sister was a nurse, and he dreamed of being a doctor, and he was in advanced science. In fact, he was in an after-school program for science. And so the reason why he was walking in that neighborhood, not at the time that class let out, but a little bit later, was because he was at the end of the year party for this advanced science, and he wanted to be a doctor. Being 11 years old and walking home from school, block and a half from your home, you should be safe. And I think it just touched a nerve in our community from the get-go.
I'm hoping it helps everybody heal.
After 7 days of grief, anger, and fear, this Northside community came together once more in a show of support for Josue Flores and his family.
It really so strongly shows how much and how deeply people care about each other, and that's been beautiful.
Father Neil Thomas performed a blessing for Josue on the steps of the Holy Name Catholic Church before giving the homily during his funeral mass.
God is in control. God will take care of, God will protect each one of us.
Prayers of protection on the minds of everyone in this neighborhood, still on edge as Josue's killer remains on the loose.
There's still a lot of apprehension and fear because they don't know if somebody might be next.
We'll work to make this a better, stronger, safer, wonderful neighborhood.
A promise that comes too late for Josue. He never made it home last Tuesday, so the funeral procession took him there today, stopping for a final family photo before carrying him to his final resting place.
I'll never forget Josue Flores. I'll never forget his mom. I'm Chris Condon. I'm an assistant district attorney with Harris County. I was the other prosecutor assigned to the trial case for Josue Flores.
I remember when Chris and I went to the property room before trial as we're going through all the evidence, and we pulled out his backpack. And there was a card in there for his mother, for Mother's Day. It was just so tragic.
Yolanda Arteaga was walking near North Main and Henry Street this afternoon when she looked down and spotted something shiny in the sewer drain. It looked like a knife, and Arteaga knew she had to let the police know right away. This corner is only a few blocks away from where 11-year-old Josue Flores was stabbed to death. She said, like I told the officials, I'm not sure it's the knife that killed the kid, but right now any evidence is good to find the killer. Houston police are not calling this a major development, and right now they are not linking this knife to any crime, but it has been collected as evidence.
It has been taken into our custody, and it will be taken to the property room, and it will be processed for any evidence that may or may not be on it. It could be a knife from anywhere. It could be a knife that somebody just threw down there. It could be down there for weeks.
The family is hoping otherwise. They would love for this knife to give police some clues as to who killed Josue.
I hope and pray that, first of all, that it is the weapon, and that if it is, I hope that all the evidence stayed intact, or at least some, like they could find something on it.
When Josue was murdered, the knife was never found. Although there was attempts in looking in gutters and neighborhoods and things of that nature.
And we know, based on the ME's report from Josue's autopsy, that it was a small blade. Likely a pocket knife, I mean, we don't know, but it was a very small blade.
So it would have been very easy to hide, to discard. Anything shiny that was found in this neighborhood was taken in for testing. So it was, and officers were volunteering their times. I mean, officers, who weren't even working were coming in. I mean, everybody cared. Everybody cared about this. And so it wasn't for lack of trying. It's just we never found the murder weapon.
Hours after making his court appearance, charges against Che Calhoun in the murder of 11-year-old Josue Flores were dropped. Investigators say Calhoun, who was arrested and accused in the stabbing death, was not responsible and had an alibi that checked out.
This looks like a Barney Fife investigation. Had they done one iota of real investigative work, they would have saw and learned just from the family alone that he could not have committed that murder.
His family says Calhoun was in Pearland at the time of the crime, and store surveillance video there proves he didn't commit the murder.
He was with me all that night and all that afternoon, so there was no way that this was possible for him to do this. And I just wanted to be cleared up that he's not the person that did this to this young man.
But as Calhoun's family is relieved by the latest developments, another family is grief-stricken all over.
He was all about love and compassion and just being there for people, and I know that's the message that he would want to come out.
A special memorial was held at Marshall Middle School in Josue's honor, where he attended, as the search for his killer begins again.
Because I know HPD's working hard. I know they are working hard full-time, overtime. I know they're putting their hearts into it.
How did it come that this person was the first person arrested?
It was before, I guess, the analysis of all of the footage in the neighborhood, and I think there was a lot of pressure. I mean, this was truly a situation where it is stranger danger, and we all know that rarely happens to the most innocent person in our community, an 11-year-old walking home from school. And so officers in the area were just trying to help, and there was an officer who had run into someone named Che Calhoun previously, and it kind of fit the description with a knife and kind of an altercation. So he was arrested, and he gave an alibi, and immediately the officers followed up on that alibi, and thankfully he was on surveillance in a far away area of town at the time that the crime occurred, so the case was quickly dismissed. But make no mistake of it, it was a tragedy. Anytime an innocent person is arrested, I don't want to make light of it, although I think everybody was in good faith.
I just want the right person to get caught, and I don't want anybody covering for anybody else. Let justice be served.
So how did Andre Jackson get on everyone's radar?
What ended up breaking the case initially, and we came back to it when we tried the case, is surveillance footage. Folks who, good citizens who reported seeing something in the area. Officers going on the ground and pulling Ring doorbells and surveillance footage from businesses and Metro, and trying to develop a timeline because they knew when the 911 call had come in. So what was the common theme was there was an African-American male seen fleeing the scene, various descriptions, in a green jacket. They released video footage of him in the area. A a convenience store owner was familiar with that jacket because it was so unusual, that it was like an unusual green color. He had seen the lettering on the back that didn't make sense. And so he knew when he saw on the local television, if anybody heard anything, they knew that they had seen that person earlier that day.
Was he living in the area?
He was living at the Salvation Army within a few blocks of that convenience store.
HPD had some of the surveillance video that they captured was kind of it was like an overhead view of a side street not too far away from the Salvation Army. And as Andre Jackson was fleeing the stabbing, he ran underneath this surveillance camera, and you could see very clearly, well, in one angle you could see his face, but you could see very clearly the jacket in the back, and you could see it was like J.B. Lyman was the lettering on the back of the jacket. They released that photograph to the public, and this man who ran the store recognized the jacket.
It was like a gift from God. I mean, like if he had just been dressed normally and didn't have a distinguishing jacket, I don't know if the crime would have ever been solved. And so from there, the officers went to that convenience store. They were able to pull from an ATM machine to see who had made a withdrawal around that time, and that's how he was developed as a suspect.
Where was he arrested?
At the Salvation Army. He was arrested at the Salvation Army, taken into custody.
Did he have the jacket on?
The jacket was in his room. It was not on him. It was on the back of a chair inside the room that he was in.
You know this case of the little boy that was stabbed in the area over there?
Yes.
Okay, you're arrested on a warrant regarding that.
Okay, what does that mean? What does that have to do with me?
Well, first thing, my question is this a photograph of you?
No.
It's not?
No.
Do you have a jacket like that?
Yes, but I don't know if those are the letters that are on my jacket. It's kind of Chinese.
The day the murder occurred was Tuesday, May 17th.
Is this me on the 17th?
Yes, that is you on the 17th.
Where?
Like I told you.
You said it's part of the crime scene. How?
Well, hold on. Let me get there for a second, okay? Just bear with me for a second, Andre, okay? On Tuesday, May 17th, the stabbing occurred at approximately 4:40 p.m. Okay?
And what time are these pictures from?
Those pictures are from right after the stabbing.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you.
From what camera?
Okay, where were you on that day, that afternoon?
I don't know.
You don't know where you were?
Bizarre is the exact word I would use. It was odd. It was just odd because he was trying to find out what the investigators knew.
This is you, right? Okay. Here's the problem, okay, for you. The problem for you is you're seen fleeing from the crime scene, from there towards the Salvation Army.
Seen fleeing. That's what these pictures are insinuating?
Mm-hmm. Perhaps there's another reason. Well, that's what I'm asking you. Perhaps there's another reason, and so we've already established that that's you in the photographs, okay? Right?
Right.
Okay. Hold on. Were you on Fulton that day?
I don't know the streets over there. Okay. I have to look at a map.
Okay, well, I can get us a map.
That's what I'm saying.
I can get us a map in just a second.